Hi, welcome to In Our Community. I am your host, John Waller. Today my guest is Greg Zeroun, and he is representing the Fuller Center. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Thanks.
Tell us about who the Fuller Center is.
Well, the Fuller Center was started by Millard Fuller, who also started Habitat for Humanity. He left Habitat for Humanity and then started the Fuller Center because he didn't believe in retirement. So this is his new project that he started with his wife. Millard was a really interesting guy. He actually started out right out of college. He started his own business and became a millionaire. And like, this is in the 60s, so it was kind of a big deal to be a millionaire at the time.
Yeah.
But his relationship with his wife was deteriorating, and so he sold his business and everything he owned, and him and his wife moved into a farm in Georgia and devoted themselves to God and started doing charity work. And his work in housing actually sort of started as an accident. He went on a trip to Africa and ended up doing this project where he was building sand blocks to make houses for people, where he came up with this idea, this concept of building a house and then having somebody pay for the house at a 0% loan, and then using the money that he made from selling the house to build another house. So you kind of move the money forward progressively all the time, and you can just recycle the money, basically. And so that's kind of where he got the idea for the Fuller Center for Housing and Habitat for Humanity. And so, yeah, he was a really interesting guy, and the Fuller Center is named after him.
Is he still around?
He is not. Unfortunately, he passed away. But his wife, Linda, is still around, and she works with Jimmy Carter a lot. Jimmy Carter still does a lot of work with the Fuller Center and with Habitat. So they still do a lot of projects together.
Awesome. That's really cool. Tell me about this jersey here in this map, and
Sure.
What does this represent, and how did it impact your life?
Okay, so in 2014, my wife and I decided to do something super crazy. And we had heard about this bike ride the Fuller Center does. They do it every single year in the summertime, and they go across the country. So we had heard about it, and we decided we were going to do it. So in 2014, I had to quit my job. My wife got time off work. But we rode our bikes from Atlantic City, New Jersey to Astoria, Oregon, and it was all for the Fuller Center for Housing to raise awareness and money for them to help end poverty housing across the nation. It was a really cool ride, and it's really all about bringing awareness to the Fuller Center.
So did you quit your job to do this
Yes,
ride?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to do this?
So the bike ride was about 9 weeks. We ended up being gone for like 10 weeks or something like that. But we were riding our bikes for 9 weeks.
So you obviously probably weren't riding your bikes like 24/7.
No, yeah. So typically what we would do is we'd have one day off. It was Sunday usually. And sometimes we'd have an extra day in the week as a day off. But we always had Sunday off to attend services. And we also had build days built in. So we had the most build days of any ride at the time, which is 9. So basically once a week we would stop somewhere and work on projects. What we would do is we'd roll into town and...
Literally.
We'd roll into town and we'd link up with the Fuller Center in the area. And we would really just bring attention to the work that they're doing, because every Fuller Center is a little bit different. And when you get 20 or 30 people in bright orange jerseys and T-shirts outside banging on things, you really draw a lot of attention. And we'd get media out there sometimes.
So are you out in the sticks? Because you're not like in the city. You're like out in the boonies or something, because you're out in rural America, right? We
were in both. We were in cities and in rural parts. I mean, we rode through Philadelphia, we rode through Pittsburgh, we rode through a lot of big cities, but we also went to Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, which is about as far away from that as you can get. So we experienced all kinds of different places, but really the whole mission was to, be a big, bright orange beacon for what the Fuller Center is doing.
To be the beacon on what Fuller Center is doing and Habitat for Humanity as well,
yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Combined. Okay.
Yeah.
So what typically? So So your service days to go to church and to go to service was on Sunday. Obviously, that probably wasn't your build day, right?
No,
Was
yeah.
that a different day?
Yeah, so we'd have a build day, and then, sometimes it would be like we'd come in on a Friday, we'd do a build day on a Saturday, and then we'd leave on a Sunday. Sometimes the build days were in the middle of the week. It just kind of depended on where we were at the time. So,
And then Sunday you wouldn't be riding.
Yes.
Would it be a half day right after church?
Sunday was always a day off, so
Okay.
we had at least one day to rest.
So you would build on Saturday, rest on Sunday, and pull out of Dodge on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the earliest you would pull out? Okay, so it was like an dark 30 thing.
Yeah, I mean the earliest we woke up I think was about 4:30. The earliest we would leave is sunup, so 6-ish in the morning we would leave. So as soon as the sun came up, we'd be on the road. On occasion, not every day.
So did you have lights on your bikes?
We did, yeah. We didn't really. I mean, we'd wait till the sun came up, so it wouldn't be super dark. But we put them on for safety if we needed them.
What kind of bikes are these? Road bikes?
Well, so we had 20 riders that went the whole way, and then we had different riders that would join for the group. So if you look at the jersey, there's different weeks. Each week is represented with the orange and blue alternating segments. Mm-hmm. And some people would join for a week or 2 weeks or whatever they wanted. And everybody had different bikes. Everybody had different experience levels. My wife and I both have like the cheapest road bikes you can get almost. Like they were not super technical or anything. Some people had really nice several $1,000 road bikes that were really cool for them. But that's
with the things where you rest, like for a triathlon where you rest.
Oh yeah, I mean we have those, but those don't really mean anything.
No?
Those are just kind of like
for show. Yeah,
I mean they help out, but you can buy clip-on ones that are super cheap. But they had carbon fiber bikes and stuff. But we had everybody had different experience levels. My wife and I had been cycling for a few years, so we had a couple thousand miles under our belts. But we had a couple of kids with us that were 19 at the time, and they had never ridden a bike in their life. And so they joined the trip in Atlantic City, and they got their bikes that same day.
Wow.
The very next day they were on the road.
How'd they do?
They were great. They were faster than me. They managed to have a really good time.
That's kind of like disconcerting. You do all this training and you're on the bike and you've killed yourself for all the training and you get out there and
it was it was awesome for them. They did a great job. They really worked for it. One of there was a boy and a girl, and Lauren was the girl, and she's done the ride I think 3 times since then. So she did 2014, 2015, and I believe she signed up for this year, 2016. So she'll be going whole way again.
So like you said, some people can do, so you can do like a minimum is a week, right? Or can you do a day?
You can join a day if you want. Whatever your capability is and whatever your desire is. The Fuller Center isn't about exclusion, they're about inclusion. They really want people to join and have fun and see what it's all about. So they're not going to, they generally don't try and restrict people.
So besides what we're doing here right now in our community to let folks in our community know about this, I had never heard about this. How do they get the word out?
This is how. This is I mean, word of mouth. They do some things online, but it's mostly just people talking to people. We don't have a Fuller Center that I know of in the area, which is unfortunate because housing here is such a big deal. Like everything is so expensive. And you can ride around and see abandoned houses that could be put to use because there's, so many homeless people in the same area. Blocks away, there'll be people sleeping on the street. So I think that having a Fuller Center here would be really awesome.
Where's the closest one?
I'm not sure. I know there's some in California, but I think they're mostly in Southern California.
Interesting. That the reason why it ties in for me is I was at there's a Habitat for Humanity. There's a store over right off of 101 in Santa Clara, and it's called Restore, R-E-S-T-O-R-E, and they sell things that benefit Habitat for Humanity.
Absolutely,
and there's several of those around, and so it kind of ties in.
Well, the Fuller Center is still pretty small. I believe they started in 2008. So they started the bike ride in 2005. So they started in 1998. I don't know, they're pretty new. They're a very new organization as far as charities go. They're still trying to get their name out there and get on the map.
So would you like more speaking gigs to get the word out, to let people know about it?
Sure, if people want me to come and talk to them, I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay.
I'd love to talk about the Fuller Center. Our experience on the trip was amazing, and I think, right when I got back, I told everybody I knew they should stop what they're doing and go ride their bike across the country.
I love it. I think if anybody's watching today, if they're part of Rotary or Kiwanis, to get you to speak, go out there for 20 minutes and talk to a Rotary chapter, let them know about that.
Super happy to talk to everybody about it, yeah.
How much training would you say it would take for the average person to get ready to do this, whether it's for a day or a week?
Well, so the Fuller Center has some guidelines that can help you get ready for it, and they average 78 miles a day, which it's a lot, but I think it depends on each individual how much training you're going to do for it. We tried to do a lot of training. My wife and I tried to do, I think I was averaging 250 miles a week before the trip, just to try and get out there and get used to sitting in the saddle for so long. And
was that the hardest part, was getting your butt used to the saddle?
Oh, you never get used to it.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll stick with you for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. When you're on the trip, you just make such close friends because all you do is talk about your butt, and everybody just gets super tight when you talk about your butt all the time.
Got it. So you talked, that was a question I was going to ask you. You mentioned about averaging 78 miles a day. So what was the range? I know there's a lower end of that and there's a higher end.
So I think the shortest ride we did was 30 miles.
Why so short? Because of the time or the sun, or?
It depends where we're going. So, we try and find a point A and point B and then plan out a route between them. And there's a lot of variables to determine how long the ride's going to be in a particular day and how far a destination is away. I personally didn't do any of the planning for the trip, so I can't really say exactly what determined it, but I did talk to the trip leader, and she suggested that there's different factors that factor into that.
Sure. Yeah. So how many days of century rides did you actually do? We
had 5 days of century rides, and a century is just 100 miles.
Right.
Our longest ride was 108 miles, which is pretty crazy. We were in South Dakota, and it was super long.
Was it hot when you were doing that?
We didn't really catch too much heat until we got to Washington, and we were in eastern Washington. We had some pretty toasty days. Right on the edge of Idaho and Washington, we had some really hot days where it was over 100 degrees. I think when we pulled into Lewiston, Idaho, which is right on the border, it was 107 or something like that. But most of our days were pretty good weather. We did have a lot of rain, which I didn't quite expect. I guess it's just the California in me not expecting the rain. But I think we had 40 days of rain, which is kind of a lot.
Was that hard to ride during that?
Oh yeah, it's rain presents a lot of challenges, especially when you're going up or down a hill.
Yeah. We
crossed the Appalachians when it was raining, and it's pretty scary. It's
coming down.
Yeah, some 12% grades, and you're just going 40 miles an hour and praying that you don't hit a rock because the rain's coming down and you can't see anything because it's hitting your eyes, and if you're wearing glasses, they get cloudy because it's cold. So it was really scary, but that's why it's called a bike adventure and not a bike walk in the park.
I love that. What were some unexpected events besides the rain and the 12% grades that you encountered along this, as far as the ride or experiences, how it impacted you? Anytime you do anything like this, it's always going to stick with you.
Absolutely. Right? So the people, I would say, and that's
the riders or the people that you met.
Yeah, okay. Both of those. The riders are excellent people, and it's really changed my perspective that any bike people are great people. But especially on the trip, everybody who chooses to spend their summer riding like a mad person across the country is going to be a great person. But the people that we met at all the Fuller Centers or all the churches that housed us were amazing, wonderful, sweethearted people that just really were. There's not enough great words to describe the people that we met. We stopped at a Fuller Center in Philadelphia where they buy houses that are abandoned for $1, and then they rehab them and sell them for $35,000. And with the 0% interest rate, they sell that $35,000 house, and that makes the mortgage payment half of what the average rent is in the neighborhood, which is amazing.
Wow.
And the fact that they're putting all that work into it is just so fantastic. When we were in Wyoming, we stopped in a little town that was closed by 4 o'clock, and it was about 2 blocks long. But the members of the church refused to let us sleep in the church because they wanted to take us all home. So they put every single person, I think we had 30 people, in a different home with clean bed, sheets. You know, we woke up to fresh coffee in the morning, you know, great showers. It was, I mean, just the people across the country are amazing. We live in a beautiful, beautiful place.
Because of the beautiful people.
Absolutely.
Because I was going to ask you that about where you all stayed. So, obviously you've got pockets on the jersey. That's not going to house much as far as
no,
when you're riding. What was it, 9 weeks you said it was?
Yes, sir, yeah.
All right, so you're riding across the country on a bike.
Yeah.
Okay, for 9 weeks.
Yes, sir.
And it's not the Amazing Race where, like, Amazing Race, we never see what people have, where they stay, or what they're carrying a backpack.
Yeah.
You're not going to be riding across the country with a backpack on your back, right?
So there's a lot of people that ride across the country self-supported, where they put, you know, basically like saddlebags on their bikes and pedal, which is awesome. But we did it the easy way. So the ride is fully supported, which means that we had a van that belongs to Fuller Center with a trailer, and the trailer housed all our gear. So everybody had a size duffel bag or suitcase, you know, and they give you dimensions about how big it can be. And all your clothes for 9 weeks, all your bike equipment that you're not using every day has to fit in this bag, as well as a sleeping bag. So you're really restricted to the amount of things that you can bring. But that's really part of the mission, is to live simply, and that's to help other people simply live. So it was a really valuable lesson that we learned, and it really was world-changing for my wife and I. And since we got back, partially because we got kicked out of our house while we were gone, which is a whole different story, but we had a smaller apartment. We got rid of about 75% of the stuff that we own, just because we didn't need it. And
no, that was after you got back?
Well, we got kicked out when we were in Wyoming. And when we got back, we had to find a new place to live. So when we found a new place, it was a lot smaller. And
so you downsized?
Partially by necessity, we got rid of about 75% of our stuff. Yeah.
So it's kind of like life imitating bike ride. It's just,
yeah. And
wow.
It's been wonderful. And it's really, you know, when you live out of a suitcase for 2 months, a duffel bag for 2 months, you really think about what is necessary for you to live and be happy.
And important.
Exactly. And none of it is what advertisements tell you it is. But it was really awesome. So basically what we did was we'd have the van with all our stuff in it, all our gear, and then we had a second van that was a volunteer driving. And they would alternate about 20-25 miles. They'd set up a rest stop for us, just basically on the side of a road or at a gas station maybe. And you know, they'd set out some water and some like Gatorade kind of drink with electrolytes in it, and then some snacks, so we could stop and rest for a few minutes, you know, get some calories, and then get back on the road. And if there were any mechanical issues, they would definitely pick us up. You know, they had bike racks, so they would just pick us up and take us if we had to.
So I'm a goal-oriented guy, and a lot of people are goal-oriented animals. And so, like, do you know that? So at the end of 9 weeks, or number certain days or certain miles, you were done, versus just like riding on forever. You knew when you get to a certain city, this is it. We're done. We're off the bike. Did you know that, or was it just like riding on forever?
Well, I mean, we definitely knew the ride was planned out ahead of time, so we knew what each day would bring ahead of time, which is nice, because then we could, you know, we only have 2 more days until we can, you know, take a break and walk around a little bit. But yeah, they definitely give you like a good outline of what you're going to be doing, so you can definitely prepare for it.
Would you recommend this to anybody? Like, would wholeheartedly say you've got to do this? It's life changing.
I recommend it to everybody. I think everybody could benefit from this bike ride. Everybody could benefit just from being associated with the Fuller Center. I think they're a great organization, and they have, you know, their goal is to end poverty housing. Their goal is to put themselves out of business, basically. And they're doing that not only by building new homes, but by rehabbing homes, which is really awesome. Millard Fuller used to say a lot that, you know, a lot of security comes from just having a place to live. And if you don't have a place to live, then you're not going to feel secure, and you're going to have a hard time with everything else. You know, if your housing situation isn't good, then you're in trouble.
Do they do this in any other countries besides the US of A?
So the Fuller Center just does bike rides in the United States for now.
Okay.
And they have 3 separate rides now. So they have the summer whole way ride. They have a spring ride, which is just wrapping up. And they go from Nashville to Jackson. And then they have the Silver Comet, which is in October, I believe. And that's just like a week. It's a pretty short little ride, but they go camping and stuff. It's a pretty cool one. And that one's pretty new. They've only done it 2 years, I think. The Fuller Center does have a chapter called Global Builders, and they do projects all over the world. I think they're in 107 countries right now. Most recently, they're doing a project in Nepal after the earthquake. You know, they're rebuilding homes there. And the Global Builders coordinator, Ryan Ifiola, he's spearheading that. And he actually just got married. And as wedding gifts, he requested that people give them money to go towards that project.
You obviously had to raise some money to do this ride. How much did you guys have to raise to be part of this? Because it's a fundraiser.
Sure. Yeah.
For Fuller Center.
My wife and I each had to pay into the ride, so we paid $500 each, and that covered all of the organizational costs. So then we fundraised on top of that. And they ask that people specifically fundraise and not just give the money themselves. And it's $1 per mile. So we rode 3,600 miles. Times 2 is $7,200. And we actually ended up raising a little bit over. I think we were close to $8,000. And all of that money that was fundraised went to the Fuller Center. It was really cool because after the ride, we got to choose where it went. So my wife and I picked 3 really awesome projects that we thought could benefit from the money greatly, and so we distributed the money between them.
Very cool. Do you have to be like Tim Taylor from Tool Time and be an expert with a hammer and a saw to be able to do the build days?
No, sir. You know, that's what's awesome about the Fuller Center is all the great people that choose to participate are usually really into helping each other. So there is a goal to finish, you know, a project in a day, but if you can maybe not finish it that day, but teach somebody how to do it for later, it really, that's kind of, you know, where they want to go with it. So we learned a lot about, you know, installing basic electrical in a house. We did a lot of siding.
Wow.
And a lot of painting. There's a lot of painting. We did spackling, sheetrock, and it was all skills that I had never done before. So it was really cool to learn that and to get the experience.
So it's OJT.
Yeah, you don't have to be you don't have to be Tim the Toolman Taylor. You can just go in there with no experience and learn a lot, and it's really awesome.
So I just had a thought that like all the people that are learning from this, be able to pay it forward and teach other people the next ride, and is that part of it? Like having another ride and having do you have mentors from one ride, mentoring the other people on a continuing ride?
Absolutely. In fact,
as far as the fundraising and the riding and the building and knowing what to do. So do you have a mentor on your ride?
I don't know that I would say we had a specific person that was a mentor, but we talked to a lot of people that had done the ride before, and we gained knowledge from everybody. And everybody was really awesome about, you know, talking about their experiences. One of our favorite riders was Tom. Tom Weber rode some of the days, but him and his wife drove the second van, and they are from Colorado, so they drove from Colorado to Atlantic City and then all the way to Astoria in their personal van on their dime with their gas the whole time and donate all that time and money to the Fuller Center. And Tom was super cool. He taught a lot of people a lot of stuff. We also had a really great guy from Anchorage, Alaska, who was a bike mechanic, who taught a lot of people how to work on their bikes. So, there's a lot of basic bike maintenance that people don't learn how to do on themselves. But Mike was super patient and awesome about teaching us.
Is he on every ride, or somebody like Mike on every ride?
Mike has done the bike ride a couple of times, but they usually try and have somebody that's a bike mechanic that'll help out. But Mike was really great. We really enjoyed having him on the ride.
Sounds like a totally life-changing experience to me.
Yeah, it was absolutely life-changing, eye-opening, and fantastic. And I wouldn't change it for anything.
How can the folks that are watching the show get involved? What would they have to do to get involved and say, hey, I've got to go do this because, I need to lose some lbs, or I need to get my butt on a bike, and this is a great way to help other people and help the planet. And
Sure.
Instead of buying a Prius or a Tesla and plugging your car in, this is a great way to help the planet, help other people by giving back.
Yeah, fullercenter.org is their website, and it's a great resource for different opportunities. And that's everything from global builders to the bike ride to, people who watch this could find, local events in their area.
Yeah, I saw the website. I was looking at all the different people that have done. They talked some of the different days or weeks, or doing the full event. That was pretty cool, having the pictures on there.
Yeah, and they have if people are into Facebook, there's a great Bike Adventure Facebook page, and it's awesome because every day they do an update, and they have people do different blog posts every day. So they'll post a blog about, everybody gets you get a different perspective every day because they choose a different writer every day to write the blog posts. So you kind of get a different viewpoint.
Slant. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And it's really worthwhile to read them.
That's neat. That's life-changing. That's very good. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Great information and very motivating.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
My congratulations to you. That's quite a feat.
It's awesome, and I think anybody can do it, and everybody should do it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here today.
No problem. Thank you.